Let me show you how to go from this to this. Today we're building our own Halloween fountain that's dripping neon blood. The base of our fountain, we're using a skeleton, one of the ones that you get from Home Depot, Lowe's, any of those big box stores. And first what we're gonna do is we're just gonna remove his head. And now you're just gonna gingerly pull off his head. Cut this string and then put this head aside. You can reuse it for whatever you want. This is one of those hairstylist cosmetology heads that you could buy used pretty cheap. We're using her because I wanted to go for something that was gonna be much more realistic than just a skull. But if you don't have a mannequin or a mannequin head, you could use a styrofoam head. Now that I use the scissors to loosen this up, I'm just gonna start to peel back this rubber and I just start taking away at this foam layer, and this way the new neck could fit right in there. And then here, this bottom piece just pops right off, and now we could just put the neck and secure it right into the foam. It's like some Silence of the Lambs stuff. Clarice, peel back his skin. This way, it's something like this. You get the idea? I gotta admit, it's kind of creepy to think that this was somebody's real hair. Hopefully they were paid reasonably for it. One of the things we have to do next is we have to drill a hole through the back through this little silicone piece. This way we can make a space for tubing for the fountain. And then we also have to drill the hole out through the mouth. I don't want the hair to get stuck in the drill itself, so I'm just gonna cut a little tiny patch in the back. I'm going in with a bit that's 3/4 of an inch. And now initially, I don't want to cut too much. I want to be conservative because we could always go in and continue to cut more later. I'm using the drill just to remove a bulk of the styrofoam that's in the lower portion of the head. We're going to feed the tube through and out through the bottom of the neck. There we go. This looks wrong, I know. When we go to secure the head onto the neck, we're gonna make sure that the tube itself isn't gonna be pinched in any way. Otherwise, if it is going to be a problem, that's why I drilled the hole in the back. So this way I could feed the tube through the back of the head and make sure it's hidden seamlessly. To initially attach the head to the neck, I'm going to go in with a zip tie, and I'm just gonna create a little hole here and here and just zip tie the base of the head back onto the neck. One right here, the other right here, lined up with it. I don't know if they're still on sale, but I was at Lowe's. I got this entire thing of 500 zip ties, $2.50. Talk about a steal. It was on their clearance aisle. We're gonna feed the zip tie through this end right here. We're creating a little bit of that loop. Thankfully for the fake neck vertebrae, it's holding that zip tie in place, so we're just gonna pull that snug. I'm gonna go in now on the back and add one more zip tie right underneath this one that I just did. This way it's fed through another one of the vertebrae. And what's great about securing it with zip ties right here is, see, the tube is still completely not obstructed in any way. For some extra security now, we're going to go in, create a hole here, and then just zip tie to these backbones. Just relaxing. Nothing to worry about because your head is now secure. Just me and my buddy, who has yet to be named. If you have any ideas on a name or a suggestion, let me know in the comments. For the pump itself, I ordered this one from Amazon, and what was great is it came with this tube as a bonus. A lot of the other ones you have to buy. And if you could see right here, there is actually a little spider in this tube suddenly. Of all the places to go, I got him out. What I like about this one is you can control the flow. This way we're not gonna have the liquid coming out too aggressively, because instead we're going for more of a blood dripping effect that's gonna go all the way down to the costume. Now that we have the foundation set, we wanna go in with some bubble wrap. So this way we could start building out the form. This way it doesn't just look like it's skin and bones. Now I'm covering the bubble wrap with 2 garbage bags, so this way I can go in with expanding foam to fill out the rest of the torso, although I'm making sure that the hose of the fountain is still sticking out so I can still access it. Keep in mind that the foam is going to continue to expand, so if it starts to grow too much in one area, you can manipulate it about 5 minutes once it starts to set. Now, most importantly, we have to give this a test and make sure that the foam, when it was expanding, didn't mess with any of the tubing that we have inside the head already that goes down into the basin of the garbage can. So let's just give it a little demo to make sure. Sweet deal. We're not gonna leave this sticking out like this. We're gonna push it backwards further when I'm done working on the mouth, so this way it slowly dribbles down. Before we focus on the rest of the costume and the overall body, we're gonna move on to the face and do detail work, just so this way it will be easier to get in there and add things like teeth. I'm gonna cut the mouth open, leave the tube obviously, but my goal is to move the tube backwards. I'm also cutting the eyes out so this way I could give the head some more dimension. Also, it looks creepy. Now I'm feeding a zip tie through the skeleton and also just putting it through a hole that's already drilled in the stake. This way I could stand the figure up, and right now I'm just feeding it through the handle of the garbage can.
It's okay. It's okay.
Cover the arms. I'm using scraps of landscape fabric that I had. As you can see, I used a drop cloth material so this way I could build up the base, and it looks crazy right now, but trust the process. I cut a drop cloth into 2 pieces and hot glued it to the torso, and now I'm just covering it with the dress. This is where these curtains come in from Savers. We're going to use all of these ruffles and lace as detailing all around this, and then once we cover it all in monster mud, it's not going to even look anything like this. See what I mean? Again, I'm using hot glue to secure the fabric and also drape it in the place that I want, since when I go in with monster mud, it's going to keep it all in place. To make your life easier, you could just buy a long dress, but when I went to the thrift store and asked if they had any wedding dresses there, they just looked at me like I was a drag queen. Now it's time to add the resin teeth that I ordered from Amazon. I'm hot gluing them in place, and while working, I just pushed the tube of the fountain backwards. Now it's time for the most time-consuming part, which is adding monster mud. This took me about 48 minutes to do the full body, but you really want to make sure that all of the fabric is extremely saturated. It's going to take at least 24 hours to dry, just heads up. And while this was drying, I did go in and just spray paint the face a flat white color. I also used the spray paint to add additional dimension down to the bottom of the dress. Now I'm using the airbrush to go in and add some contrast and really make these details pop on the face, but also on the dress itself. Now it's time for the best part, adding in the UV liquid. This is it without the black light on it, just as is. And then once I add the black light, you can see it really starts to glow. Right now, I have her standing upright in the garbage can, just feeding that metal rod that she's connected to through the handle of it itself. But if you wanted to, you could also stake that into the ground and have her leaning over the garbage can itself. You can also play with the speed of the fountain to see how much water you want to come out, and if you want to make it trickle slower, you could add landscape fabric to the mouth. Even if you don't use the UV liquid or have a black light, this is it with just water. It's still creepy, but thank you for watching and subscribe for more Halloween DIYs.